Is your use of reverb making your mixes sound amateur? Rob here from musicianonamission.com, and in this video you're going to learn the only 3 ways to use reverb in your mixes. So stick around if you want to learn how to use reverb to make your music sound deep, polished and 3-dimensional. But first, if you're serious about improving your mixes, make sure you grab the free reverb cheat sheet that I put together for this video so you can start using reverb like a pro in every single mix. So how should you be using reverb? This is important because for me, it all comes down to intentional mixing. You need to have an intention with reverb, and this will guide you every time you reach for a reverb plugin during a mix. And once you know what you're trying to achieve, it's easy to dial in the right settings. And for me, it comes down to these 3 things. These are the 3 key reasons why you need reverb in your mixes: depth, cohesion, and interest. So let's dive into each of these a little deeper. When we're talking about adding depth to your mix with reverb, what we're talking about here is using varying degrees of reverb or wetness on the different channels to create this illusion of depth. Because in real life, when something has more reverb on it, it's further away. It's at the other end of the room. Whereas if something has less reverb on it, it's close to you. It's right next to you. You're hearing more of the direct sound than the reverb. And we can recreate that in our mixes by making a guitar or a percussion part that we want to sound really distant and kind of low in the mix, really drenched and wet in reverb, and then the vocal or something that's really up front and in your face, we use very little reverb on so that it's at the very front of the mix. Now I'm going to give you a demonstration of what I mean here because that's the easiest way to show this. So I've got a mix here, it's just a jazz track, and right now all we've got is a volume balance. Have a quick listen.
Sky may fall, hearts may break, love can be a
So what I've got here is my reverb on an effects send or a bus, an effects channel, whatever it's called in your DAW. What I've done is added my reverb plugin. I'm using Valhalla Room, just around 1 second reverb, a chamber reverb, and I've got this on its own bus. So now what I can do is send different channels to this channel by varying amounts, and by doing that I'm adding reverb by varying amounts. So let's just start off and let's say we want to make the piano sound a bit more distant. So we can go to our sends, we can go to the room, and we can then bring that up. And I'm going to do the same because this is a stereo track, so we're going to go to the room. Now listen to how as I change the amount of reverb, it makes it sound more distant and then closer. So it sounds really far away. And then when we bring it down, now it sounds closer. So let's get a bit of a depth mix going on with this. Let's put the piano a bit further away and the drums, and then let's have the vocal and the bass really close to the listener.
The sky may fall, hearts may break, love can be a treacherous thing, but I'll give it my all. So I'm just going to send
all of these drum channels to a new bus, and then we can easily just add reverb to the whole drum kit at the same time. And we want to send that to the mix bus.
The sky may fall, hearts may break.
And then I'm turning up the reverb send.
The sky may fall, hearts may break, love can be a treacherous thing, but I'll give it my all until I'm awake with a dream that's worth remembering. When the dream is over, I'll comply. When the dream is over, I'll say goodbye.
So that's a pretty drastic example there. The drums are drenched in reverb. But listen now to how we've kind of got the vocals right up in our face, and then we've got the bass a bit further back, and then the piano further back than that, and then the drums at the very back of the room.
The sky may fall, hearts may break, love can be a treacherous thing.
And we could use EQ to enhance that. I could cut the highs and the drums to make them sound further away.
The sky may fall, hearts may break, love can be a treacherous thing, but I'll give it my all.
So that's just an example there of how you can create depth in your mixes. So that's use case number 1. Number 2 is cohesion. And what we've done here is we've kind of done that already. You can create cohesion in a mix by sending everything to the same reverb bus, which is what we've got going on here. So we've got one room that's being modeled by the Valhalla plugin, and we're sending everything to this same room. And what that's doing is putting all of the channels in the same space and creating cohesion. Now, what we could do, and what a lot of mixers like to do, is use several reverbs. So we might have a shorter plate reverb for the vocal. Let's set that up now quickly. So here I've just got a plate reverb in Space Designer, and now I could send the vocal here instead.
The sky may fall, hearts may break, love can be a treacherous thing.
And what that means is we can have reverb on the vocal that's different to the rest of the track, and that brings it forward. But now what we're doing is we have two separate spaces. We've got a plate reverb, we've got a room reverb. You might then have a longer reverb for things that you want to be even further away. And we're moving away from cohesion. So if you want your mixes to sound cohesive, if you're working with acoustic-based genres like jazz, classical, that kind of stuff, and you want to put everything in the same space, make it sound like it's in the same room, just stick to using one reverb bus, and by doing that, you're creating cohesion. And then the third way you can use reverb is to add interest to your mixes. So I'm just going to load up a new mix to show you an example of that. So in this mix, we've got an example of using reverb as an effect. And in this case, it's a spot effect. So we're using this as an effect throw, some might call it, where we're just adding reverb on a single note or word. Now, what I want you to pay attention to as you listen to this is this little piano fill that's going to come in here, and you'll see it when it's coming. And listen to how it sounds without any reverb.
I turn away from everything you taught me as a kid. And then the world, the flesh, and the devil drag me.
So it sounds good. There is already a bit of reverb on the piano and on the mix in general, but there's a bit of a space there that could be filled with something interesting. The vocals drop out. That piano part comes in to fill that space, but then nothing else really happens. And I think we can make that sound even more epic. So what I'm doing here is I'm automating a send. You can see this send here is muted for the whole track apart from this one little phrase here. And what I've got on that is a very long reverb. So I'm using stereo room with a 5.8 second decay time. And then what I'm doing is boosting the low end. We're cutting all the highs out and boosting the low end to give it this really kind of deep reverb sound. So let's unmute that. And now let's listen to the same section, but this time with a reverb throw. So this is turning on the send, going to this reverb channel, and then turning it back off.
I turn away from everything you taught me as a kid. And then the world, the flesh, and the devil.
So it just sounds really epic. It makes that little section there way more interesting. Let's solo that. So just a quick example there of using reverb as an effect to add interest and movement and character to your mixes. And that could be in a multitude of ways. You might just have heavy reverb on a vocal, for example, for the entire track. It could be anything. Sometimes you're going to be using reverb creatively, though, to create the vibe of the track, not just to add depth or to add cohesion. So they're the three use cases: depth, cohesion, and interest. If you want to recap those and practice using this in your mixes, be sure to grab the reverb cheat sheet that I made just for this video. That's going to go over each of these use cases, show you how to implement them, and then you can actually go away and try this, because if you don't give it a go, you're never really going to nail reverb and learn how to use it properly. So hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to grab that cheat sheet, and I'll see you next week.